Pepper says, are you ready to declutter another section of this hoarded basement? I know I am. It is that time of the week again. It is time to declutter another section in this hoarded basement. And we are really opening up this back space. When we had our yard sale, it cleared out this back wall. So right now we just have some workout equipment and the empty tubs. And for today, I really want to focus on this area because we have some bins that are organized and labeled, but I know that there's some miscellaneous stuff back there too. So I want to kind of clear this out, declutter what we can, and reorganize this backspace. Now, when I get started, to avoid being very overwhelmed by the amount of stuff, I will scan the area and start with the easiest thing I can declutter, which is a box. Yay, we still have some of those. This empty box and the air sealant, that can all go. This is our first tossy. Now there are some hanging wires, so I'll be careful and I'll also tell hubby so he can fix it. But moving along is a bag of you know what? Papers. I always did this, would throw papers in a bag, shove it in the basement to deal with later. But it looks like Miss Pepper is going to take care of it for mommy because she just loves plastic bags. She's very curious. So she says, just get rid of this whole thing, Mom. We don't need it. Now, finding random bags of paper down here is very common for me because it used to stress me out. I used to be so overwhelmed by the amount of paper to go through, and I had struggled with making decisions that I avoided it and threw it in a bag and threw it in the basement. But now I've strengthened my decluttering muscles and my decision-making muscles, so it doesn't feel as overwhelming. And this process took time. You've seen me decluttering for years, but you've seen how I've gotten better at decluttering. Like I can look at all this and be like, recycle it. I don't need it anymore. And I'm making decisions so much quicker than I did in the past. When you do this every week at a pace that is comfortable and safe to you, it becomes easier. Like this book right here. I was emotionally attached to it, but now I have no emotion to it, and I feel like I can let it go because each and every week we are reprogramming our nervous system that we are still safe when we let this go. Now, I just wanted to show everyone this. These are my sketches from college, and it just brings me back to that time, but I really do miss drawing. And I'm really looking forward to transforming this basement into some type of craft art space. And I'm really tempted to take this coupon that expired in 2010 to ShopRite and give it to the cashier just to see their reaction when they're like, oh my gosh, this expired 12 years ago. And in the tub after that is more plastic bags and yet more paper. Clearly, we have not gone through this back section. Now, I have healed enough in my journey that I can recognize that everything in here I need to let go of. There's nothing to keep. But that took a lot of internal work to get to this space because my entire life, I coped with any stress of my life since childhood by holding on to things. And because I did it over and over again since I was a child, it developed to a point where I couldn't identify what was trash, what was no longer in use, and what should be kept. And I just kept hoarding and hoarding. There was no limit. The limit was when my nervous system was finally calm from whatever panic attack I was having, or when I was triggered from my PTSD and I neglected to deal with those emotions and shoved them back down. Hoarding was how I self-soothed. It was how I found peace in my heart. And now Pepper helps me find more peace in my heart whenever I feel triggered. But I just wanted to share that with everyone so you really understand hoarding disorder and why someone would let their house be hoarded to such extreme lengths. We are self-soothing that anxiety, that depression, that PTSD. That's why we're driven to that, because it does bring us to a point of being calm. Now, This box right here of random clothes, I wish we had it for the yard sale, but that's okay. And guess what? We're getting rid of that entire box now. Now, this big picture back here, I have actually had this in yard sales before. Again, because it was tucked away in this back corner. We didn't pull it out. I totally forgot about it. And this was my parents'. And I do remember it being hung in the house. But we're ready. We are ready. If I put it in the yard sale before, I can just let go of it now. And as we get to this back corner over here, you can see that there's just a lot of like random trash that we can throw away right now, but it's so nasty that there's even bugs like attached to it. Oh my God, that's so bad. But let's move on to this little organizer right here. This is really old. This is going to be from like college years as well. And there are going to be a lot of sentimental things in here. Like, look, this is my cap from when I graduated from college, and a picture of my Bubba cat and the Jinx. But look, you could tell back then, look at the hoard in the back corner. I was never organized. But what I am going to let go of is all of these markers and also these noisemakers. I mean, they have rust on them, for goodness sake. And behind that organizer is just more random trash. All of this is tossy-tossy. Now, this poster right behind here, I do still have some sentimental attachment to it because I had bought this in college the summer of 2001. And we all know what happened to the Twin Towers in September 11th. 2001. And my nervous system is sounding the alarms that I need to keep this a little longer. I'm not ready. And guess what? It's okay. It's okay if I keep it a little longer. We'll wipe it down and we'll continue decluttering. And now that little back corner is finally cleaned out. And yes, it looks like a part of a haunted house, but hey, it's decluttered. Okay, now we're moving on to labeled bins and things I wanted to keep from previous decluttering basement videos. And I think it's best to now kind of go to the organizing, condensing it even a little more. Because this Puma jacket that I wanted to keep, and also the Blink-182 concert t-shirt underneath of that, I can take it, put it into my 90s bin that I have labeled right here and get rid of that box lid. And I'm also going to kind of loosely go through this bin to see what I can get rid of. Like, obviously I'm going to keep my art journals, but I can let go of this 1999 CD, this food book right here, and the Hot Topic receipt from the year 2000, and this random piece of paper. And I can also put my Beastie Boys t-shirt in there because that was from the late 90s too. And this precious moment is still in the box, and I do have a bin that I'm going to put it in. This is what I'm calling rough organization. I'm just funneling these pieces that I still have an attachment to into the labeled bin. And over time, we'll declutter those bins even further. And underneath of that, these magazines from like the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, they were my father's. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am not able to let go of anything of my dad's. I have a wonderful relationship with both of my parents. And because of that, they are my root source of security. They are my rock and foundation. So that's why I am not strong enough to let any of this go. So we'll store it in this bin and throw out the box. Now, these bins right here, they are all labeled, except for the green bin on the bottom. Now, normally those were Christmas bins, and I just want to verify that, yes, indeed, it is more Christmas stuff, but that's okay because we're doing a big KonMari method on all the Christmas decorations in the beginning of November. Now, this shelving unit right here, this is all hubbies. Anything that I found of hubbies, I kind of funneled it into this area. And when he's ready, he can go through it and declutter it. Now, this right here is my container of Disney souvenirs from 2015 when the boys were young, and I am still attached to that. And underneath of that is an AC unit that does work, and hubby did want to keep it just in case our old AC went out, we'd have a backup in the summer. And And in this bin is some more sentimental 90s items. We are going to condense that into the 90s bin that we already have, emptying out another bin that we can use for sorting later and also creating more space. And this right here is a very easy tossy. Bye-bye, you're out of here. And on the floor, there's some random pieces of paper that we are going to pick up. And this extremely heavy wrought iron rack. Now, this was from the fireplace upstairs, and the more I think about it, I'm ready to let it go. I'm just going to talk to hubby about it because he's the one who would have to carry it out. And now it's time to start sweeping up this back corner, and it definitely looks like the cellar of a very haunted house. This is years, if not, I can honestly say a decade of dirt and dust and even bugs that have crawled through the little windows here. Yeah, it's really bad. And oh God, we are getting it now. And now me and Miss Pepper are so proud to show you the tossy pile that we have for this episode. We are going to recycle everything as best as we can, and we're also going to be taking a trip to Goodwill. And I always show the tossy pile because it helps me realize that yes, I am strong enough to let all of this go in one shot, and also reconfirms my nervous system that we are still safe to let all this go in one day. And Miss Pepper has some more room to play in this basement. We really decluttered and straightened out this back corner even a little more because this is the area that I want to put the labeled, organized bins after we complete some more basement decluttering videos. We'll put them over here. That way they're all together, they're labeled, I know what's in which area, and then we can further condense these bins in the future. And if you struggle with hoarding disorder, I want you to know that you are not alone in that, and that we do have the strength within us to declutter. It just takes us a little longer, and we have to go at a slower pace, but that's okay. We can do it.